Greetings, fellow Zambian citizens. Out of public outcry or demand, I want to now announce to all of you, our faithful followers, and those who are keen to understand what the movement for good governance is about in regards to our agenda for the country, which most of you refer to as manifestos. Now, I've said in many instances that I, as Binwell Mpundu, does not own the monopoly of wisdom, and therefore it will be folly for anyone to expect that me, as Binwell Mpundu, let alone any president, who will have solutions all by himself to the challenges that this country has. What we've done as a movement for good governance is to assemble a proper technical team that has been working in the background to be able to come up with a proper, agenda for the country. Because we believe that Zambia does have human capital, that are able to unlock or at least come up with solutions to most of these pressing challenges that Zambia is going through today. And so what I would do through these continuous broadcasts is to be able to give you excerpts of our agenda, the so-called manifesto, so that we are able to understand in each facet of governance what we envision to do if we have a chance, or once we have a chance to lead this country. Today, I want to speak to an issue that I mentioned on my Facebook post last night, namely that we believe as a movement for good governance that there's no magic needed. We therefore don't need any magician to unlock or resolve the problems or the economic problems that Zambia faces today. One of the biggest issues that we'll have to do when we form government is to seal all manner of financial leakages in government systems. We believe very strongly that if we seal these leakages, we are going to raise enough resources that are able, or that is going to enable us invest in all key sectors of our economy. Those of you who follows what's going on in these governance systems, you will agree with me, or you remember that not long ago, the American ambassador did make a revelation, a very, heartbreaking revelation, namely that we've been losing about over $3 billion in illicit financial transactions, particularly happening in the mining sector. You know what $3 billion mean? Our budget, as an example, for 2026 is just about $10 billion. But imagine losing $3 billion through illicit transactions. Now, I'm about to make a revelation that will obviously stun you. And this is why we are saying, if we seal leakages, we stop all manner of thieving that is happening through the decisions that are being made by government officials. We are able to unlock all the resources we need to invest in all these critical sectors, like the energy, agriculture, health, and other sectors. Now, you do remember that in June this year, government made a decision to waive the excise duty that is paid by mining companies whenever they are exporting copper concentrates. Now, when we mine our copper, there are a number of minerals that are found in the entire, mineral components. We get gold, we get cobalt, we get uranium, and many other minerals. These minerals are separated during the process leading up to us producing cathodes. Now, ideally, Zambia should have been adding value to all these minerals Unfortunately, over time, the only value we add to our minerals, particularly copper, is to now package or process our copper up to when we get those cathodes. Those of you who see those trucks moving, those pallets you see, the brown copper pallets, are called copper cathodes. Now, those are still not 100% copper. They're about 97, 98, they're about copper, meaning that the 2% on top comprises of other minerals like gold and cobalt and others. It therefore means every time you see our copper moving out on our trucks, what is only counted is only the copper. The other minerals are taken out and we don't get any revenues out of it. Now imagine government deciding to allow the export of copper concentrates. Copper concentrate means you have not finished the entire processing to at least arrive at what we are already dealing with, having copper at 99 or 98 or 97%, so that you only have a smaller percentage containing these other minerals, which goes out free. Government in June made a very infamous decision to waive away, take away, or remove the excise duties payable whenever mining companies are exporting these concentrates. There are a number of mining companies that were, categorized, or rather included on the list of those mining companies that were, part of the exclusion or the waiver. Interestingly today, because that decision was only to cover from June up to October end, it has come to our attention that this waiver has been extended to the end of December. So my team went to do the tabulations. We've extrapolated all the figures. Unfortunately, it breaks my heart to announce to you, dear fellow citizens, that through that reckless, corrupt decision, this country is going to lose close to $6 billion. You heard me. We are about to lose $5.78 billion, approximately $6 billion from that decision, allowing the export of copper concentrate from June to December this year, 2025. Now, here is what you may be interested to look at. If copper is processed and sold out as cathodes, we then, or companies then, pay the associated taxes. All right? Imagine, therefore, when you change the scenario to allow concentrates to go out without being fully processed into the 98% copper, that we refer to as cathodes. It means in those concentrates, we don't know the amount of gold, the amount of uranium, the amount of cobalt that may be taken out, and they are being taken out without these companies having to pay a single amount in taxes called the excise duty. Our calculations, based on the quantums or the quantities of materials that are being exported from June into December, have revealed that we are actually going to lose, unfortunately, $5.7 billion just in half a year. Imagine if this decision was not made, we would have actually saved the $5.7 billion. Imagine where you can take the $5.7 billion. It means you will have enough resources to unlock the challenges in the energy sector, both in fuel and the electricity subsector. As an example, all we needed was to have or to raise $1.5 billion to be able to expand the pipeline, the Tazama pipeline, as well as, buy a hydrocracker to make Indeni, come to life. All right? Now you are losing, in only 6 months, you are losing $5.7 billion because your government has decided to give a tax incentive or to give these tax concessions to these named or listed mining companies. At the end of the day, your government, the people of Zambia, are losing $5.7 billion in only half a year. If you're going to lose $5.7 billion in half a year, it means that in the whole year, you are able to raise not less than $10 billion. $10 billion is equal to your budget of 2026, which is why Zambia does not need a magician to resolve our economic challenges. Zambia needs patriots, leaders who prioritize the interests of the country, not the interests of their own pockets. Because I can tell you, the decision to waive out the excise duty on copper concentrate was corruptly done to facilitate the siphoning away of our resources. Instead of these mining companies paying at least a little tax, because let's face it, we've only been collecting very little from our mineral resources through the little taxes that we charge on these minerals. But your government decides to take away even the little tax that we've been charging on these minerals. In the end, we are losing all that amount of money in only half a year. Which is why I want to tell you, without belaboring on where we are going to look for money or whatever you may call it, one of the decisions we are going to make is to ensure that we seal up all the financial leakages through the decisions that are made by government officials or ministries. We believe as a movement for good governance that Zambia has got the potential to finance all its activities without even having to go with a begging bow anywhere for handouts, as they call it. Now, what I would do through this broadcast is to continue to highlight what we as a movement for good governance believe are fallback plans to sustain the ailing economy. These things, we believe, can help us or will help us to be able to cushion the struggling workers. You know that workers have been complaining about the pay-as-you-earn being too high. We believe that if we are able to seal these leakages, we are able to raise enough resources that will enable us cushion our struggling workers by way of reducing their pay-as-you-earn, which ultimately will result in them having more disposable incomes to be able to take care of their family needs. Colleagues, this is not rocket science. This is pure, simple issues of decisions. Decisions that will benefit the country, decisions that will benefit our people, not decisions being made by your current government, which decisions are only meant at benefiting themselves and benefiting the foreign nationals. Because, mark this, the list of the mining companies that have been excluded or given that waiver, none of them is a Zambian-owned mining companies. So what does that mean? We are gifting the foreigners when we are actually stifling the local taxpayers with all these punitive tax measures that we've been employing every single day. My name is Binwell Mpundu. On behalf of the Movement for Good Governance, we'll continue to update you on part of our agenda for the country. I thank you very much.